Hi everyone. In this video we are going to learn about basic Apex. Let's continue. Apex is a strongly typed object-oriented programming language which is a proprietary language developed by Salesforce.com to allow us to write the code that executes on the Force.com platform. As you know, Force.com is a platform and Salesforce is a SaaS program, like software as an application. So it is used for building SaaS application on top of the Salesforce.com CRM functionality. Like Apex works on to create some applications and to work on Salesforce.com CRM. Apex is a save, compile and execute on the server of the Force.com platform. So if you look at Salesforce web and then open developer console, and you will see that here we have developer console and we can work on this. Just open a new page. You can create a class, and then I already have some classes here, but these are the login, execute anonymous Windows results. So to work on Apex, this is developer console. You can create a new class by clicking File, New, and Apex class. Then you can write demo class. As you all know, when we write, we first letter starts with small and then second word starts with capital. We call this camel case. So always make sure it's good, it's up to you. You can start with capital letter, first letter, or small, doesn't matter, but it is good. Each word in your name should, each word should start with a capital letter, so it's easy to read. So this is a developer console. As you know, it's always by default public class, and the class name, whatever you write, it is here. So this is our class name, and this is class, and the public is our modifier, access modifier. Then public class is the name of, if you would like to share this class between the application, so it's better to write public access modifier. This is then our developer console. Let's continue. So we can write a code here and execute here and get the result. So it is save, compile and execute on the server of Force.com by using developer console. It enables the developer to add business logic to most of the system events, including button clicks, related record updates, and Visualforce and Lightning pages. So this is Apex. So what are the features of Apex? Apex, it updates automatically. You don't need to update or install something. Integrated with the database, which means it can access and manipulate records without the need to establish the database connection explicitly. It has Java-like syntax and it is easy to use. It looks like Java, like some people they say 70% looks like Java. It's easy to test and it provides built-in support and for executing test classes. So if we can test our class by using Apex, just creating a new class and then writing a test class, and then if you erase this one and start the class with is test. Then it becomes a test class automatically. As you can see, we will have here you see, it turns to run test. So whatever you write in the class, then you can test it if it is how much percent is covered or no. It is multi-tenant environment. It's a internet-based SaaS program. So it's imagine like a building. In one building, like an hotel, people they rent and then they use the facilities of hotel. So they use force.com, like the same water coming to building, but people they share this water. So each room has, a limited or data or limited resources. So if you rent 10 rooms, it means you have more facilities. But if you rent one room, then you have some limits. It up to, according to your package or license you buy. So it's a multi-tenant. So many people they use same force.com, but each person have his her own data. You can save your Apex code against different version of force.com API. Like if you have, the Force Apex, it automatically they upgrade it every year. They 3 times they update. So the version can change. So when you save your version, your Apex code, for example, currently it is 53 version. So if you have a code from last year, maybe it's 45, then when you save your code, so it automatically save your IP or version to the latest one. Apex is a case-sensitive language. Means like if you type one thing on console, let's say here in this class, if I write a code, let me open anonymous window and then erase this. So if you write integer e1 equals to 23, then system debug e1, then let's see, this is data type is integer, variable name and variable and assign 23 to this variable. So e is 23. Let's see console and result. So you have to go to logs and see, just click debug only. As you can see, e is 23. So if the case is sensitive, I can write this one, for example, capital G. Let's see what happens. Or system M is capital M, and see if the result is changing. Or code is being executed. As you can see, result did not change. So it means Apex is a case sensitive program. When to use Apex? When we use Apex is to perform a couple of business processes that are not supported by workflow, process builder, or flows. So sometimes declarative way is not enough to do some business logic, so we use Apex coding. To perform complex validation over multiple objects, to create web services and email services, and for transaction and rollbacks we use Apex. So here, flows of action. Developer action. When the developer writes and saves the code to the Apex platform, the platform application server compiles the code into a set of instructions that can be understood by the Apex runtime, interprets, and the save this instruction as compile Apex. So here, as you can see, developer, when they write a code, of course they must have internet. Then they write this code by using internet and Apex compile. If the code is correct, then doesn't give error, it is being stored in database, Apex class, like here. If we write the code, then our code will be written here. If it doesn't give error, if that give error, it means we will have a sign here. Then we have to correct mistake. If there is no error, then it is saved on this class. So when in this class it is saved, then compile when end user, one of the our user on your company, or they want to use it, then by internet they request, and then they enter their request, then end users they can use it. When the end user performs some action that involves the Apex code, when the end user triggers the execution of the Apex by clicking a button or accessing a Wi-Fi page, like Visualforce page, the platform application server retrieves and compile instruction from the metadata and send this through Apex runtime, which interprets before running the result. The end user observes no difference in the execution time as compared to the standard application platform request. So if there are no mistakes, then Apex end user can request and then get the result by clicking or entering some codes. Features that are not supported by Apex. So what are they? It cannot show the elements in user interface other than an error message. Normally when users they write, sometimes they get error, but they are not able to see the function, or they can get the error message. It cannot change the standard Salesforce developer console functionality, but can be used to stop its execution or to add a new functionality. Means, like in Salesforce, there are some standard functionalities which we cannot remove them, delete them, but we can stop their execution and add new functionality. It cannot be used to create a temporary file, as you can see here on Salesforce, like developer console. We cannot create Apex cannot be used to create a temporary file. It cannot create multiple threads as well. Apex environments. There are several environments for developing Apex code. So what are they? We can run Apex code in developer org, production org, or sandbox. But we never, when we are trying to write a new code, we never use production org, live org. We get a copy of it, which is sandbox, and then we can work on sandbox, and then when it is approved, then we test it, it is correct, then we can send to production. Otherwise, and developer console, which has less very limited things, so we can use developer org and sandbox to execute, to write our code and test them, and then after that we can send to sandbox to production, because sandbox is a copy of production. We cannot develop in our production org because live users are still accessing the system. So while we are developing, it can destabilize our data and corrupt our application. So it will be a big issue. Instead, we do all our development work in Sandbox or Developer Edition. Different tools of writing Apex code are that, as you can force.com developer console, which I have shown you here. This is our developer console. As you can see, Apex. The developer console is an integrated developer environment and collection of tools we can use to create, debug, and test application in our Salesforce.com. And then the code doesn't get saved until it complies without error. So here, if code editor in Salesforce interface, the code editor compiles all class and triggers, then there are some flags errors in the if there are any errors. The code doesn't get saved until it compiles without error. The force.com developer console allows you to write, test, and debug our Apex code. We can write, as you can see here, we can write our code here. Like if you want string, you can write a string equals to Apex. Sorry, string, then Apex is easy. We can write our code, as you can see, in developer console. We can test them, we can debug them. How we debug them? As I shown you before, we go to debug and write execute anonymous window, and then we can execute and see the result. We can try one like string and then ctr1 and then assign, we leave a space, assign a value to string which should be in code, and then Apex is not difficult, and then you have to put this at the end of the each. And then to see the in developer console, you always have to see the code. Just copy this, control, and then right, make it small, system debug, and then what is should be here, string 1. You can copy or paste, semicolon, and see only, if you want to see only this highlighted one, then execute highlighted one. And then debug only. You see, Apex is not difficult. So we can test our codes as well. The last part in this video is Apex variables. A variable is name value holder in memory. As you can see, this in Apex, this is our string is our data type, and this is our variable ctr1. It is our variable, and then Apex is not difficult. This is the value which is assigned to this string. So if I can write here this one, but it won't be dynamic, you know. I will have same result, but next time if I change something here, then it will not appear here. So that's why we assign a value to a variable, and then if we change this value, then the variable, if we put here, the value also change. In this case, as you can see, it is going to execute, but the problem here, if you change something in our variable Apex, is not the same result we have. But if I do something, a change here, then as you can see, we will not have the same result over there. If I change the as you can see, if we change something here, then in our system debug we still have this one. That's why we put this one to make it dynamic, you know. I can do like this, maybe, yeah, erase this one. And then we will have this result in our developer console. The name we choose for a variable is called an identifier. It means this is our identifier. This is CTR is the variable name or identifier. It's our identifier. Identifier can be of any length, but it must begin with an alphabet. The rest of the identifier can include digit also. Operator and space are not allowed. Operators and space are not allowed in our variable name. We cannot use any of the Apex reserved keys which naming variables, methods, or classes. You cannot write variables, methods, or class for the name of or integer. No, it shouldn't be like integer or keywords are the words that are essential for Apex language. As you can see, integer we can start with the alphabet and put a space underscore, but not end space underscore a. It's fine. Here, what is wrong? We cannot start with underscore. And then here, which is wrong, it shouldn't finish also with underscore. And here it's true, it's a2, like I2, there is no any mistake. We can use alphabet and number, it's fine. Here is wrong because there is a space gap between one a I and 2. That is not correct. And here we cannot use any special character, dollar or euro or the other currency between. And here cannot start with also, and we cannot use dollar any reserve any operator. And here shouldn't start with special character or empty space. Thank you very much. That's all for this in this